Alrighty, what's going on, everybody? Happy Tuesday. Happy Tuesday. How's everybody doing? Thanks for hopping on. Let me know if you guys can hear me real quick. My internet's been spotty the last couple of hours. It's been raining probably, I don't know, a solid 16 to 18 hours, and it's only gonna get worse. Awesome. Yeah, so I will say this. Tonight's stream is going to be pretty short. I doubt I'll look at some charts real quick, but there's not much that I'm personally looking at going into the last few days, right? We're talking about the last 3 to 4 days, depending on where you're at, of the fiscal calendar for banks, where we're seeing a drop off in liquidity. And October 1, which is Monday, starts the new calendar year. So, I'm not looking for a lot of movement. I'm looking just to manage what I have. But additionally, for those of you guys that know where I live, we are getting pounded with a hurricane. I think at this point it's a category 3. It supposedly is going to be a category 4 by the time it hits, which I think the sustained winds right now are like 120 miles an hour. So for those of you guys that don't know, I live right there is where I live. So right now we're getting a reprieve. It's been raining for the past, 12 to 18 hours. And we're going to get just even more rain. So, the internet's been spotty all day. It's going to continue to be spotty. So unfortunately, if the stream goes out, which I don't think it's going to, I think I've got probably about an hour and a half before I get any kind of interruption. But no, you're in Kendall? Yeah, bro. No, listen, I'm in a fortress, man. I've got a CBS block house with hurricane impact windows and doors and, a barrel tile roof. So, the biggest thing I got to worry about is just making sure my pool doesn't overflow. The cars are in the garage, everything's battened down. So I really don't have much to worry about other than just service interruption. I don't think, most of my power lines are underground, so I don't think I'm going to have an issue with power. But, some of you guys will. I know in the past, I've been without power after a hurricane. I've been without power for like 5 days. Some of you guys, are too young to remember, but I remember Hurricane Andrew, being without power for months. School was supposed to start in August, and I think we ended up going to school in October. So, it is what it is. Yeah, man. I think I was going into the 6th or 7th grade when Hurricane Andrew came through in 92. So most of you guys weren't even born, I'm sure. But yeah, so, the whole state of Florida is dealing with this tonight into tomorrow. And I think Thursday is when it's supposedly supposed to start to clear up. So, I've been taking this opportunity to kind of, go through my journal, go through, revising some of my strategy on how I'm attacking the market, what's working, what's not, following the data. But we'll get into it. Obviously this is something that I've been telling my group, specifically is, take the time, especially in September. I talk about September being just crappy price action, and to date, I think I've only taken 4 trades in the whole month of September. Now, one of them was a GU short GU short on itself, I'm up like 4.5% on, still holding really good volume on it. And then just scalping some indices. That's really all I've been doing. The market really hasn't given me a lot to really, play pullbacks with. If you look at some of these yen crosses, heck, if you look at the dollar, my condolences to anybody that's been trying to short the dollar. I guarantee you that it's made you pay. So, let's see. You're out of power for 21 days last year in NOLA. Yeah, man. It sucks. The good thing is, if I do lose electric, I have solar. So during the day, at least I'll have power. Can you provide some of your thoughts on crypto? Nothing's changed. I'm still waiting for BTC to get down to like the 10 to 13K mark. So I don't think there's really anything else to talk about crypto. I'm just waiting for the continuation. You know, look at look at the fundamentals at play. Is there any reason to expect the crypto markets to recover this week or this month? I mean, the answer for me is no. You look at you just and maybe this will be a good session here for merging like fundamentals and understanding the economics of what is actually happening in the currency markets to really determine on what you're going to do next. When you look over here at every currency index, what's the one thing, when we look at this specifically right here, what's the one thing we notice? October has been historically a bullish month for crypto. So do you go by historical fact when you're talking about crypto? Or are you looking at the worldwide economic standpoint is in a recession, and you've got central banks that are trying to raise interest rates to thwart off inflationary measures. In order for investments to come into crypto, they need capital. And when you are dealing in a recessive, I guess, economic pattern, where are you going to get that investment from? So just because October, I agree with you. I mean, November, December is normally a bullish market on the cycles, right? But if you look back at those cycles, what have we had? We've always had a major halvening. We've always had something to help with the supply and demand of a certain token or coin. We don't have that this go around. Contrary to that, what do we have? We have a significant change in policy when you look at Ethereum, right? Everyone knows Ethereum went proof of stake. That's really helped them out. I can see on the chart how Ethereum has really profited from that. I'm being facetious with that as well, because Ethereum has just been falling off the charts. Because what's happening, if you think about from a proof of work standpoint, the miners that were producing the coins themselves were interacting with Ethereum on a daily basis. So you had both supply and demand on a daily basis doing something. When you look at Ethereum now, what is happening with Ethereum? Everyone's got their Ethereum locked up. There is really no transactions being done other than paying gas fees. That's it. So from a crypto standpoint, I mean, I'm still investing in the coins that I believe in, that I see making the next 3 to 5 years, those runs. And obviously, BTC is not one of them, right? When BTC gets down to like, that 80% mark that I marked out a couple of months ago, somewhere in the neighborhood of like 10K, then that's when I'll start to like look at BTC again. But there's the potential or the possibilities on some of these altcoins, that can deliver a greater percentage yield, is something I'm going to be looking at. So, yeah. Am I holding XRP? Yeah. I mean, I got into XRP a long time ago. At my average price, I think, was 13 cents. I cashed out when we hit like $1.50 or something like that. I cashed out half of it. And yeah, I mean, I'm just holding what I have. So if you look at what the SEC did this week, they're calling Ethereum essentially. Actually, has anyone read up on that from the crypto side? Has anyone read what the SEC essentially opined, right? Because they essentially released an article, and not an article, but they released a document outlining their position on Ethereum. Did anyone catch what it was? Anybody? All proof of stake cryptos are securities. So they talk about that, but that's not the biggest kicker, right? I mean, because that could be litigated. That could be litigated, right? That could be, you can litigate how it's not a security, right? But what's even more? No, hold on. My phone's been going all with all these tornado alerts, man. Okay. What else? What else other than it's going to be now? Okay. Oh, Jesus, man. Hold on. Sorry, guys. Guys, give me 1 second. Let me just make sure my kids and everybody are set up real quick because of these tornadoes. Hold on. Alrighty, sorry. I just wanted to make sure all the animals were in. Okay, so talk to me. So talk to me about it being regulated by the SEC. Ah, yes, there you go. My brother's got it, right? The SEC is saying that because the majority of staked Ethereum is being staked on US IP addresses and through things like AWS, right? That the US is taking jurisdiction and can now regulate Ethereum and already setting it up to be a security, in essence, having full authority over Ethereum. So, yep, exactly. There you go. They are considering that not most. It's most of the staked Ethereum that are on validator nodes are running off of AWS. So when Ethereum talks about it being decentralized, that is a huge knockdown in the crypto space, as it is not decentralized, right? If you think about it, the whole point of decentralization is, one, to absolve itself from regulation, but also for redundancy, right? For security features. What happens right now if, for whatever reason, Amazon has to shut down AWS? Then the majority of all validator nodes on Ethereum network shuts down, essentially crippling Ethereum's network. Ethereum has been decentralized when it was proof of work because it was split. There was 51% of Ethereum's, essentially of the Ethereum ideology or project was on proof of work, which meant it was essentially decentralized, right? You would have to have checks and balances. So, when you look back at, what was it, 2017, when you look back at the Ethereum hack, one of the biggest reasons behind that essentially was, geez, all these tornado things, bro, for the love. When you look back at what happened and when they forked off and essentially Ethereum Classic, ETC is the original blockchain of Ethereum. Ethereum actually forked off, right? Because of that 51% attack. And it came through essentially what they did was they just paid for rented hash rate and were able to, multiply what they were doing in order to attack it. So, but now it is the very furthest from decentralization, which is why, when I decided I was no longer going to be participating in the Ethereum blockchain, that's when I started swapping all my Ethereum for other coins, But on the crypto side, yeah, there's nothing that until we start to see buyers coming into the market, and I don't foresee us seeing buyers coming into the market until we get down on BTC around the 10K mark. That's really where I feel, could it happen sooner? It could. I just don't see why it'll happen sooner. For me, there's no look at everything that is. And again, this goes back to understanding the economics, right? Look at the indices, right? Look at currency markets, right? Everybody knows what these are over here, right? These over here are all your currency futures, right? Does anybody notice something about all of the currencies, right? They're all negative, right? So if every currency is falling, there's only one currency that's positive, right? And that's your dollar index. The dollar index is the only thing that's positive. So what's that telling you, right? What is that? Why is the dollar so bullish? What are your thoughts? Do you think it's good to take a prop firm challenge because volatility seems to be falling over the last months of the year on the financial markets? No, I mean, I would say I personally would never take a challenge or verification stage during September, but I mean, I've always had great November. Actually, October is my best month of the last 4 years of journaling. October is my best month. So October is I'm looking forward to October. It's a safe haven. Yeah. So it is a safe haven, right? Interest rates. Now, why interest rates? So yeah, talk to me about interest rates. Why is interest rates causing the dollar to go bullish? USD is a world currency. It is. Yeah. I mean, if you look at every world government, they stockpile greenbacks, right? They stockpile the US dollar. It is, yep, exactly. It's the reserve currency of the world. But now specifically why? Yeah, investors. So when you look, right, when you look at what is happening from let's go over here for a second, right? So when we look at things like indices, right? When we look at things like indices, what is the reason, right? What is the reason that we are seeing, and TradingView is, I know this is probably my internet though. Let's see. People parking money in the dollar know their ROIs. Yeah, exactly. 100%. The dollar is giving the best yield and it's the safest. So when we look at this right up here, right? When we see a distribution of just, I mean, think about how long this took, right? And we're talking, it started in May and finally got confirmed a year later, right? Is this evidence of what? What is this evidence of? Is this evidence of people short selling US 30, the Dow Jones? What do we see across indices? What do we see? Let's go down here and let's take a look at things like this. Let's go to Amazon, right? What do we see on Amazon, right? What do we see going on here on Amazon? What do we see? Let's look at some other blue chips, right? Let's look at Google, right? What do we see going on Google, right? Google, super clean distribution, right? What is telling us, or what do we see happening on all of these blue chip stocks? Let's look at, I mean, let's look at Tesla, right? Tesla, same thing, right? What is Tesla doing? Tesla distribution. Let's look at, even some of these smaller blue chips, like this is AT&T, right? It's a communications company, right? What are we seeing? We're seeing just continuations of these distributions of orders. Why are we seeing that? Why are we seeing all of these stocks distributing? What is giving us that reason? Because we stopped reserving gold in no, it has nothing to do with gold. Nope. I mean, nothing to do with gold. Yeah, they're selling their profits. They're profit taking. They've run up since COVID. They've amassed so much profit, right? I mean, just think about this. Look at what has happened here on, this was, where are we talking here? This was the COVID spike down here. Hold on. As soon as this pops in, goodness, come on. Oh, wow. So let's just say, I know it comes even lower here in March, right? But let's look at the COVID spike, right? And in this COVID spike, what have they made, right? They've made 78%. The S&P 500 has an average gain, right? Has an average gain of 4.6% in a year. And what has the S&P 500 done since the COVID spike, since this low? It's done 118%. So where are these investors parking their money, right? When you look at things like, let's look at commodities, right? Let's look at what the oil markets have done, right? You look at what the oil markets have done since the COVID drop, right? And I mean, I know this goes to negative $45, but even just going from like zero, what has this done? This has come up. I mean, that's just stupid. That's just stupid. But commodities, right? There has been such an appreciation in value. We've investors in the last 3 years have made a tremendous amount of profits. So does anybody know what the typical government-backed bond yield is? What is the go-to? Like, where do, when you want, if you've ever managed your own 401k, if you've ever managed some kind of deferred comp, right? You have the option to put it into, high yield, high risk stocks. You have the option to go into like international funds. You have the option to go into government backed bonds, right? what is the standard or the go-to in government-backed bonds? Yeah, the T-note, right? The 10-year T-note. So if we go over here to the 10-year, if you go over here to the 10-year, right? And let's just look at, give me a second here. There we go. So if you go over here to the 10-year, and you can see obviously at COVID, this thing dropped to all the way down to 0.33%. And right now it's trading at almost 4%. Okay. The T note is trading at 4%, but let's look at this, right? So if you are an investor and you were looking, right, you were looking at an appreciation for your money, okay, you're looking to put it somewhere, right? You're only making, right now, you're only making, we'll just call it 4%, right? You're making 4% on your investment. That is it, right? And which is great. I'll tell you right now, this is what just look at what the government bonds have done over the last, here, let me go up to like the weekly. I mean, it's always been a low return, but obviously it's dropping, right? I mean, you look back, I mean, heck, when I was a little kid and you bought these bonds, man, I mean, these things were sitting here at 8%, but this was the go-to, right? Going into the 10-year and stuff like that, this was the go-to. All right. Why are we seeing money flooding into the dollar though? It's because it's it's giving you a bigger yield, right? A huge yield. Look at what we've done. Look at what we've done just this year, right? Let's go to 2022, which is right here. Hold on, right there. In 2022 alone, we've seen 20%, 20% appreciation. Yeah, absolutely. So this is why the dollar is screaming the way it is. And there's nothing that's going to stop it. Interest rates aren't going to stop it. You know what? Does anybody have an idea what's going to stop the dollar? Nope. There's only one thing that's going to stop the dollar. Nope. Recession ain't going to stop it. I think we are in a recession, right? The war has to end. So I mean, we can even talk about that. I mean, war is actually good for the US dollar because it'll start to depreciate the dollar. Why? Because it takes us out of a recession, right? Wars are always great for countries because it is a fantastic way to build your economy. Think about it. What's the only thing that's going to cause the dollar to start selling off? If they start lowering interest rates, no, it has nothing. I'll tell you right now, interest rates have nothing to do with what the dollar is doing. Stock market crashing, no. I'll tell you right now, you guys are overthinking it, right? The only thing that's going to cause the dollar to slow down is there has to be a lure for investors to get out of the dollar and to go into what? Into investment opportunities, right? What's that going to take? The economies have to turn around, right? It has nothing to do with supply and demand of the dollar, right? Because I'll tell you right now, has anyone checked the national debt for the US? Has it gone down any? Because if it hasn't gone down yet, it makes no sense why the dollar is appreciating. So the only thing that we have is if it loses its reserve status, it'll never, I'll tell you right now, the dollar will never lose its reserve status. Its safe haven status, it'll never lose that. We've got if that happens, we've got way worse things to think about than what am I doing with my American dollars, right? When it comes to it, it really comes back to the economies. There needs to be a reason for investors to say, you know what? I'm going to start putting money back into the stock market. I'm going to start putting money back into this, or I'm going to start putting money into that. Now, what I think is going to happen, I think we're going to see, just like I've been talking about, I think we're going to come back into this COVID spike, and that's where we're going to start to see that investment coming back in, right? When we come back into this right here, and I'm actually looking to see if it happens when we get here, right? Someone mentioned, I can't say the word because otherwise this will get flagged, but, really, if you want to look at the economy if you want to look at the economics of the US dollar, you have to look no further than really just paying attention to presidential office, right? Because monetary policy is really the driving force in what the US dollar does. You know, does anybody know what happened right here in 2001? What happened here? The bubble? No, man, something way better than that. Come on, what happened in 2001? 9/11. Yes, and as a result of 9/11, what happened? Infrastructure bill. Nope. What happened because of 9/11? A war, right? Afghanistan, and then in 2003, Iraq, right? So in 2003, Iraq, Afghanistan, right? Afghanistan happened here. Iraq happened here. What U.S. president was in here, right? Bush, who's a Republican, right? What happened here in 1997? What happened here in 1992? Who was in office? Anybody know? No, not Daddy Bush. 92. Clinton, right? A Democrat. Notice what happened, right? In here, this was the Obama days, right? This was Obama. Notice what happens. Price appreciation, right? Trump takes office right here. And look what happens. Republican takes office, and what do? We see price depreciate. And then ultimately what happens here, you know, look even further over, right? Let's look even further over. Anybody know who was president from 76 to 1980? Anybody know? Jimmy Carter, right? Jimmy Carter, who was what? A Democrat. And look what happened during the Jimmy Carter years. What happened here? Does anybody have any clue what happened here and why this sold off so much? Yeah, Reagan. No, Ronald Reagan. Reaganomics. Anyone ever hear of Reaganomics? This right here was the single most important thing in the U.S. economy right here. So the economy is what is really closely driven to the US dollar. And until the economy starts to shift its monetary policy, its manufacturing policy, its overall decision, we had a crisis in 1979 that led US dollar bullish, though. We had a crisis. What crisis did we have? The oil crash? Well, we had all throughout the 70s was the oil crash, right? I mean, we're talking about all kinds of policies in place. You know, you had to, depending on what your social security number is, you can go and, you know, you had gas shortages, you had all kinds of stuff. I mean, really, this is where the Alaskan pipeline started coming in, right? Technically, the Alaskan pipeline, I think came online in 82 is when I think it came on, you know. But I mean, it wasn't like it was an oil shortage. That's what it was. I mean, and it was all throughout the 70s, you know, it was a commodity driven shortage. But what was the main reason? We talk about oil, you know, what the main reason in here, why the dollar went so bullish? Well, the Iran-Contra issue, you know, I'm sure most of you guys weren't even born for it, but yeah, the Iranians seized control of the U.S. embassy in Iran, and you know, they were essentially under Jimmy Carter's watch. They were taken. I don't remember how many days, but it was something ridiculous. Essentially Reagan is the one that got them out. You know, there was a baffed attempt at a rescue mission that ended up being just horrible. Planes crashed in Saudi Arabia and all that, but really, I mean, it wasn't until Reagan took office that they finally were released. And I want to say it was like 300 and something days or 400 and something days. Um, yeah, I mean, Cold War was in there as well. I mean, the height of the Soviet Union didn't collapse until the 90s. I mean, I remember seeing that on TV, you know, but when we look at what's happening, it all really has to do with the monetary policy, the manufacturing policy, the, um, you know, everything that current administrations in the US are really driving, and until I think, the Build Back Better plan that's happened in here has been doing great. I think, the dollar is just, it is driving itself into a point where I really don't see any relief. When we look at what's going on here, and I've had this marked out for a very long time, I really don't think we're going to see. I don't think we're going to see any relief when price gets up into this area. I think we're just going to I think we're going to continue to go higher with it. There is nothing from a policy standpoint. There is nothing, at least not in the next 6 months on the forefront of what's happening that I think is really going to benefit the US dollar, so the DXY is going to go higher and higher. Yeah. I mean, let me ask you a question. Why can't it? Why can't it just keep going higher and higher and higher? What would be a main reason that it won't go higher and higher? There is none. As long as investors continue to dump their money in the US dollar for safe haven purposes, let me ask you a question. If anything, a crypto could be a commodity, whatever it is, if it was giving you weekly returns of 10%, wouldn't you just keep dumping your money in there? Do I think the midterms will slow? So, I definitely think the aftermath of the midterms in November, for those of you guys that don't know, every November in the US, there's elections. It's not every 4 years is a presidential election, but specifically, if you look at what's happening this November, there's a lot of seats in the House of Representatives, a lot of senator seats that are up for grabs that can change the tide and bring control back to the conservative Republicans. And if that happens, you're going to see a shift in monetary policy. Now, you still have hurdles, right? You still have a governmental cabinet. Janet Yellen, who is the Treasury Secretary, is still very much leading the forefront in monetary policy. Whatever she's doing, it's working fantastic, because unless her plan was not to just have a egregiously bullish dollar that is causing havoc worldwide, because contrary to what everyone thinks, a bullish dollar is very negative for US economy. It's very negative for world economy. You don't want an overly bullish US dollar, because it not only does it hurt other countries, because if the dollar is bullish, right, and this is, when you go back to looking at currencies, right, you look at the currency index and you look at all of these here, right, they're all taking a tumble. Euro's been at the lowest it's ever been, right? The pound I think it's at like a 35-year low. You look at the Australian dollar, the Kiwi, they're just falling off a cliff. The Swiss franc, I mean, its value is dropping day by day. I mean, and they've already even the Swiss bank, central banks, already come out and said that they are going to take measures to try to stabilize their currency, and it's not working. Why? Because everything is being driven by the US dollar. And as the dollar continues just to thwart along, there's nothing that can, unless, and I don't think it'll ever happen, but unless every other currency decides to essentially create an incorporation and incorporate it into one currency, that's the only thing I can think that'll start to stop it. So, it really has shown from an economic standpoint exactly what's going on in the world, So I'm not looking to really buy any stocks. I'm not looking to buy any indices like US 30 or SPX until I start to see money leaving the US dollar. Until I see that, and I'm not looking on a 5-second chart. I'm not looking on a 5-minute chart, right? When we look at what is going on here on the US dollar, I mean, just look at how long these things took, right? Look at how long this entire distribution here took, 789 days, right? Look at this distribution over here. This one took, 1,600 days, right? Look at this one up here. This one up here took, I think, 500 days, right? I mean, this one here, 578 days. This isn't something that's going to take us by surprise, right? You're going to be able to start to see intent. You're going to start to see effort of distribution playing out. And that's going to give us the opportunity, if hopefully you're already hedged in with the buys, that you could start looking for shorts on the US dollar. But until I see that, I mean, this right here, and let me hide all my junk, but this right here shows no signs of profit taking, shows no signs of short sellers entering the market, shows no signs of anything, right? Other than continuation to just bulldoze, right? And it is what it is. I mean, you've got to, I'll tell you this. One of the best things I ever learned, and I was taught was, I'm sure you've heard the cliche, right? Don't allow emotions to dictate your trading. Yeah, listen, I'm going to continue to buy the dollar till it says no, until we finally show signs of weakness, and I've really been fortunate enough to get into, EU shorts, GU shorts. I'm still holding UCAD buys. I kick myself because for the last year and a half, I haven't been able to really position myself into really big UJ plays, but I really wish I would have been able to, because UJ's seen almost 3,000 pips in 2022, so that's something to really pay attention to when you're looking at fundamentals, the economics, and what these indexes are actually showing. Don't look at, and I never understood, I am personally not a fundamental trader. I don't look and say, okay, well, the interest rate's going up, so this has to happen. No, because I'll tell you what, name me one central bank that has not increased their interest rate. The Bank of England has, ECB has done it, Royal Bank of Australia, Royal Bank of New Zealand, the Swiss Bank, they've all done it. Bank of Japan, they've all increased their rates. Yet why are their currencies continuing to drop? Those rate increases, those are temporary reliefs, right? You're going to see a temporary manipulation, but overall, a price is still going to do what it's going to do. All right. Hold on. Let me catch up here. So when it does fall, do you think it'll be a crash? No. I mean, just look at how, realistically, if you look at, if you look at how in history, right? If you look at how price on the US dollar has really dropped, right? I mean, given this was Reaganomics, right? But we're not talking a complete collapse. I mean, you're looking at, 500 to 700 days worth of distribution, and then finally it gives. So when I start to see maybe something like this, now I'm getting ready. And then of course I'm going to play the range, and then play the best man. Once we confirm and we break, that's the continuation move. Just like I've been doing on this up play, right? All the continuation moves on the dollar, I'm going to be doing on the way down, but I really do think that, we are, we are at least 18 months from even getting close to seeing that evidence, hold on. It impacts with our trading with other countries. Yeah, absolutely. It affects our exports, right? It affects the US GDP. It affects everything, yeah. Have you seen the recent movement on UJ? Yeah, what do you mean? What do I think about it? What does it look like to you? Does UJ give you inclination to say that it's going to be weakening, or are we looking at this and saying, you know what, I'm pretty confident that we're just going to reaccumulate? You know, for me, what am I waiting for? I'm just waiting for the break, and then I'm coming back in for this right here to do that. What was this right here? This was simply just to sweep out some weak-handed buyers. But is this, when we look at what's going on here, do you see any evidence of huge sellers coming in? Yeah, absolutely. You know, I'm stupid cat. I am most definitely waiting for continuation moves on UJ. You know, this right here. Even if you look at Chef JPY in a day was like 800 pips. You know, this right here, and that's 800 pips. You know, do I see any weakness from that? No, because I mean, what am I waiting for? I was really waiting for us to come in here so I can take this up. You know, that's all I'm really, when you look at UJ, because UJ is the inverse of what the Japanese yen is, right? So when you look at UJ, just look at the yen. Does this give you, right? Does this give you any sign? Yes, is it an accumulation at this point? 100%. Am I expecting it to be a redistribution just like this one was, just like this one was, just like that one was? Yeah, I am. Because I don't see any reason for it to continue higher. So instead, I'm just going to be waiting for the break. And that's really what I'm going to be looking for. Can you tell us what part of a schematic is best to open up a hedge trade? What do you mean? What part of a schematic? Yeah, I don't know what you mean by what part of a schematic. To open up a hedge trade. Yeah, I mean, are you talking about like if I have a schematic like this, like let's say we have a distribution, right? Are you talking about like you're selling here and then, I guess so if you're selling here and it claps you out and we reaccumulate, you'd be looking for the buy like that to take it up. I mean, it honestly depends. In theory, that's how that would work. But if I'm in a bearish market and we reaccumulate, I really wouldn't be looking for a buy. I'd be just waiting for me to come up higher and get into another sell. Yeah, I don't take buys and sells within the same schematic. If I'm in a bearish market, I wait for an accumulation to turn into a redistro before I get into it. So, so no bear relief rally for crypto. So no, I mean, just look at it. I mean, look at BTC, right? Like when we look at BTC here, yeah, when we look at BTC, I mean, this is where I'm waiting right here. This is where I'm waiting. There's no reason. I mean, like when we look at what's going on here, I mean, what is going on here? Diddly squat, nothing. There's nothing going on there. For me, I was really kind of hoping that we would get price to come back up for the next leg down, but we don't necessarily need to mitigate anything, right? We can just continue lower. So this is where I start putting my money back into BTC. I'm not doing it here. There's no reason to. There's nothing, for me to get involved with current price action here, we would need to essentially break. And then on the pullbacks is where I'll start getting into buys. But I really don't see that happening. There's no reason for it to happen. Did I catch indices sells? Yeah. I caught shorts on US 30. That's the only one I caught shorts on. Yeah, exactly. Why? And that's the question you have to ask. Like, why would investment firms look to put their money into crypto right now? There is no real reason to do it at this present moment. So I mean, as much as I would love for crypto to go higher because I'd like to make money on what I have right now, I still think we're going to go lower. What you got, bro? So how do you play currencies like UJ where it just keeps going up and up without any mitigation, finding it difficult to find any positions? Um, uh, okay. Yeah, yeah. Thanks, bro. Yeah, no, all the kids are home. All the kids are home. Hold on. Guys, give me 1 sec. Hold on. Okay. Yeah, yeah, yeah. No, everybody's home. So yeah, like the question about UJ, UJ has UJ has gone, let's see. So UJ, man. UJ, I started looking for buys on UJ. I started buying here. What is that? That is 4,000 pips is when I started to look for buys, and I have yet to get into anything other than small little buys that I couldn't hold. So what do I do in this case? Just do what I've been doing for the last 2 years with UJ. Try to get something. If it doesn't happen, it doesn't happen. Unfortunately, the problem for UJ with me is either bad timing, the entries came in while I was sleeping, or it never gave me an entry worth taking, and something I would say is if it's not worth taking the trade, it's not worth taking the trade. I don't know, when price was here, I didn't know price was going to go another 3,000 pips up. So if price gives me something where it's like a 15 to 20 pip stop loss, and I only have an R to R of like a 1 to 4, I'm not working for half pay. I'm not going to take a trade and risk equity for only half pay. So, and this is something I've been really pressing upon everybody in my group. Think about this. Like if your R to R that you require is like, say, a 1 to 5, 1 to 7, 1 to 10, 1 to 10 in my case, would you take a trade for a 1 to 4? And if you are, and you're looking at your journal and you're saying to yourself, man, I can tell you from my experience in 5 years of trading that traders, your biggest problem isn't that you're not making enough profits. Your biggest problem is you're taking a ton of losses and you're essentially taking 3 steps forward, 2 steps back. You'd make 2-3% in profit, and then you'd lose 1.5% to 2% in just needless losses. One of the things that I've done over the years is just really start to say to myself, is this trade worth it? If your boss, told you, most of everybody, whether you work salary, hourly, whatever it is, if your boss told you, hey, from now on Fridays, you're only going to be getting half pay. We still want everybody to work a full shift or a full day's work, but you're only going to pay half day. You're still making money, but you're only getting paid half. Right? How many of you are still going to go to work on Fridays for half pay? Still get up, fight traffic, get changed. Dude, I'll tell you right now, for me, no. Guess what? It's a 4-day weekend. I'm going fishing. So just keep that in mind. Yeah, but with UJ, yeah, there honestly hasn't been any big moves that, and I've back tested the crap out of this. I've back tested this whole move right here. The only entry happened right in here, and I was asleep for it. It happened during London. So that was it. That's all I was able to really find in my back test worth the entries. On NZD CAD. Yep. Yeah. I know Cash caught this morning. And then there was a redistribution in here as well. Yeah, this was this morning. I honestly, I didn't really give it much. I was kind of hoping that we'd get up a little higher, but yeah, no, NZD CAD was a good play there. I thought the Ethereum merge would cause some bullish intent. So let me ask you this. How many people do you think had the same thought process? Probably everybody, right? Oh, the Ethereum merge is going to cause bullish intent, right? But unfortunately, it's if everyone's thinking the same thing, then it's not going to work, right? Because you need sellers in order for buyers. And realistically, why would why would it cause bullish intent? You know, thank you. Think about this. In order to go proof of stake, right? In order to essentially stake your Ethereum, you need 32 Ethereum, right? Or you can go into a pool and you can stake it in a pool, but it's locked up forever. That's it, right? As of right now, the EIP 1559 doesn't release your Ethereum. The proof of stake does not, the merge does not release your Ethereum. There is nothing in the pipeline to release your Ethereum. So how many people right now are in a huge rush to throw money into a coin that they have no idea when they're going to be able to release those funds? So for me, I didn't think, I honestly thought it was going to collapse. That's why I got rid of all my Ethereum. Can you show yourselves? Yeah. I'll show the US 30 shorts. I did not catch NCAD. No, I didn't. I know a couple guys. I know Cash caught it this morning. I honestly was in no rush. It's September for me. So we're going to play continuation moves on BTC in any pair. I'm not playing anything on I'm not trading BTC. So I'm solely just waiting for investment opportunity on BTC, but I'm personally not trading it. What do you got here, Bo? Is this your U30 shorts? So yeah, this was yesterday, right? This was yesterday. I caught the same one. I didn't take it off of this though. I took it off. I measured the whole thing. Yeah. I measured the whole thing and took it off the 80. Just because I wasn't, but now I guess the question is, why'd you only take it here? I just printed that. Okay. Yeah. I mean, without a doubt, I was anticipating us taking this low because this distribution came into the London distro that caused the new low. So sellers for me, I held all the way to the bottom. And then was this today's? So I didn't take NAS. I took US 30 this morning, but I took it out of a distro. I want to say it was probably the same thing. I took it out of a redistro. I'll show you. Hold on. Would I have taken this? Let me see, bro. What you got on UCAD? No, I wouldn't have. Yeah, I wouldn't have. The whole reason I'll tell you right now why I wouldn't have is, so what news was that? Yeah, what news was that? No idea. Well, I mean, I could tell you just by the movement on it, the spread on it would have been garbage. But I'll tell you right now, this was today's price action, right? Yeah, honestly, nothing here gets me into that trade. Yeah, nothing here gets me into that trade, because even looking at it like this, so this is where you want it to buy, right there. That's where you, hold on. That's where you want it to buy. And for me, that's premium, that is premium. There's nothing for me. This is your manipulation into this leg. So I'll wait for us to come down here, or I'll wait for a reaccumulation. I understand that this is the lowest form of order flow, but this doesn't give me a lot of evidence of buyers in the market. So there's nothing for me to really say, all right, well, we reaccumulated, let me play this. That's the only thing. Yeah. I mean, I honestly think this is going to come back a little lower because I'm anticipating the dollar to give a shakeout. You know, the dollar's doing this right now, right? I'm expecting this right here and then a reaccumulation. So I'm expecting this to come lower, you know, and truthfully, I really do think that we're just going to go sideways the rest of the week. Here, I'll show you that the US 30 plays. So same one that you had last week or I'm sorry, yesterday. Where is it at? Hold on. Yeah. So again, you know, what do we have? There we go. What do we have? We have a attempted at accumulation, but there's no reason for it to accumulate, right? And realistically, this is what I was hoping that price would come back into. Now this comes into SPX and it comes into NASDAQ, right? NASDAQ comes into the redistro. But coming in this morning, you know, what do we have? We have man, trading view is really lagging, man. Here we go. So what do we have this morning? We have a distribution during London, right? We have a really ugly distribution during London. However, this is the New York Open, and this morning. This is what I told everybody. I was like, I'm just waiting for this break. Once we break here, because what did New York do? New York just swept out all the weak-handed sellers. That's all we did, right? Once we did that, all I wanted was the break. Once we got the break, that gave me evidence of selling coming in. And then from there, it was just a matter of this. So there was two ways I was looking at this. I had my alert at the 50%. So give it a second here. All right. So I had my alert at the 50%. And I was kind of hoping that this was going to be the distribution, you know. So once that distribution occurs, I was kind of hoping that we were just going to break and then I would play something out of that. That didn't happen. So what we did do is above the 50%, we get a distribution that I had nothing to play on. We get a redistribution that I have nothing to play on. But once we break here and we break essentially that order flow, I was ready to rock and roll. And then for me, it was just kind of finding confluence with it. So out of it, you know, we get a super clean redistribution, right? This right here is the last push. So when I measured that, that's the 80%. When I measured the entire redistribution, this was the 80%. So it was within like, I want to say like 0.2 or 0.3 points of each other. So this was essentially my slingshot. I took it off the 80% because it was the only thing that made it worth it. So I took it off the 80%. And if this would have clapped me out, I had another entry up here off the 80 with a stop loss above this high because it lined up perfectly 50% of the last shakeout that mitigated the previous distro. So I had that entry today off of here, and then, you know, pretty simple how I managed it. You know, as soon as price breaks here, I paid myself the risk of the trade. As soon as it broke here, I closed out one of the orders. And then as soon as we come to this part right here, as soon as we come to this part right here is where I ended up closing out the second order, because I traded with those 4 orders, right? And then I guess right when we come to the end of the day, if I remember correctly, that's where I secured what I had left. Yeah, right here. Right when we come into the end of the day, I'm guessing right here. So this part right here is where I secured what I had left. And all I have really left running off of this is the first order that I paid myself the risk. I have a portion of that order still remaining. So that's how I took it. But yeah, that was US 30, you know, and I'm like I said this morning, I was pretty convinced that we were just going to trade below here. All right, so hold on. I often trade GU at times on 1 minute time frame. I've noticed the GU and DXY moving in the same direction. What does that tell us? I don't know. I don't correlate dollar index and GU. I only correlate dollar index and Euro USD because it's diametrically opposed. The pound, you know, for me, I correlate GU and pound futures. So when I'm trading GU, I'm going to correlate it to pound futures. That's it. You were lacking confidence with the trades, but it's good to hear that. Yeah. I mean, listen, I'll tell you right now, what's the best thing you can do if you're having an issue with pulling the trigger because of confidence? Just reduce the risk. I'll tell you right now, like, if you're trading, say you're trading a 100K account, right? Say you're trading a 100K account and you typically do 0.25%, $250. And you're like, man, 125 still isn't that great. Okay. There's 62.50 at the trade. 62.50, let's say you just take it down to this low right here. I mean, you still made 3.3%. You still made $3,300 on a $62 trade. If you lose a $62 trade on a 100K prop firm account, do you care? I mean, I don't. I'm like, all right, I mean, I'll tell you right now, there's some trades that I take where the commission fee is like $50. So especially if you're trading like an FTMO, if you're trading on TPT, you don't get charged commission on it, for indices. So, when in doubt, I mean, I'll tell you right now, I'm a little more aggressive with indices just because, one, there's no commission fee on it. And two, I mean, you can make your money. I mean, time in this trade for me, right? Time in this trade for me was, I think, 2.5 hours, if I remember correctly. It was 2 hours, 55 minutes, that's perfect for me, rock solid. 2.5 hours worth of work, I'm done. Just got on. Don't know if you've mentioned that, but what is your opinion on what will happen to prop firms with MT4 being removed from the App Store? I could care less. I mean, yeah. I mean, I'll be honest, like, I don't trade from my phone, so I could care less. I mean, you just download it off and put it on your desktop. If you've had a previous, listen, this isn't the first time that Apple has restricted a application from being deployed. They did it at the start of the Ukrainian-Russian war. They've done it at different intervals. So I mean, if you get a new phone, just go to your previous downloaded items. It's there. You could just re-download it. But I personally don't trade from my phone. I trade from a desktop. How am I approaching long positions? It either needs to continue to pull back on JPY crosses. We either need it to pull back into structure, or I need to wait for the new high. The new high is going to confirm reaccumulation for me. Yeah. You got in this morning? You got in here? I mean, it was the same thing as yesterday. It literally was the same thing as yesterday. Yeah. I didn't look, I'll tell you what though, I didn't look at NAS. Look at NAS, man. So you can kind of see my thought. This is why I didn't even look at NAS. I didn't get into NAS because I had my alert up here. My alert was up here and we just didn't come high enough. I was really hoping we were going to come here. And then, SPX, this stupid thing, bro. Was there a play in SPX? Hold on, I'll tell you right now. Was there a play? Yeah, there was a play too. It was the same play. It was the same, yeah, same exact play on SPX. So again, you break order flow here. Boom. You break order flow right there. And what do you have? You have your distribution, no manipulation, but still a distro. You have a redistro, and then you ultimately have the redistro here that creates. So what are we talking? So the only thing, and this is why I guess I looked at this maybe briefly because I had SPX up on there as well. The only reason I liked U30 better was U30 had a shakeout. This really doesn't give me a shakeout. So yeah, I was better off with U30 on it. Yeah. Julio, you got in or what, bro? Awesome, bro. Yeah. It was a clean play. It was a complete replication of what happened yesterday. So, and it's not like I won't take full credit, but it's not like this morning, if you guys were on my Zoom call, right? It wasn't like this morning where I said, I went through yesterday's trade, right? I went through that trade on yesterday on U30, and I said, I'm pretty sure I said the exact words of just wait for, oh, come on. I said, just wait for this break, measure out this, put your alert at the 50, wait for a distro, and either play the distro or the continuation move just like this. I mean, that's pretty much exactly what it was. So, yeah. When it goes to the SC, which is near the top of the leg, accumulates and makes a new high, do you count that as a new market cycle, meaning it holds the leg like on a DXY on 913? DXY on 913. Hold on, let's see. Do I get into a position every day on indices? No, I don't. I look for a position every day on indices, but I do not get into, yeah. So this is, yeah. So this is what's maintaining the order flow leg right here. This right here, if this is what you're talking about, 913. Yeah, this is maintaining our current order flow leg. So I'm looking for price to come back here or to come back here for my next leg up. But I will give a little bit of, I've got my alert here, because if we come in here, right, this is the first area I'm going to look. And this is because this is maintaining the current lowest form of order flow, right? We had manipulation right here. And if you look at Euro USD actually respects the FOMC candle, right? So there's no manipulation. So in the dollar, this is the manipulation right here. So if we do come back into this, I'll start looking for buys, but I really want to see us come into here. Yeah. Yeah, I try to get into an indice position every day, but it doesn't happen. Not every day. I mean, sometimes I'll tell you right now, the biggest issue that I come across with indices is I can find an entry every day. It's just the entry's not worth it. I'm a little more lenient on indice plays. Like, I'm true to, if this is not a 1 to 10 on currencies, I'm not taking it. I've taken like 1 to 7.5s, 1 to 8s on indices because I know they're going to be quick. A 1 to 10 on UCAD might take 8 hours, right? A 1 to 7.5 on US 30 could take 30 minutes, So, I'm a little more lenient, but it still needs to be worth it. And I would say that that's the biggest factor in my day-to-day trading is a lot of the indice plays, just the stop loss is either way too big and not worth me taking the trade, or I just don't like the price action, and, I'll tell you this, I mean, year over year, indices are always my biggest profit target, or my biggest profit margin. Last year, SPX was, year before that, US 30 was my biggest single asset that made me money. And this year actually SPX was leading NASDAQ by just a hair. But in the last, I'd say 2-3 weeks, it really has just taken over. I haven't taken a NASDAQ play in a little bit. I haven't taken a lot of US 30 plays either. Typically SPX was the cleaner play. It just so happened that this week US 30 was it. So the low on 811 holds nothing now. So the low on 811, this one here, this, yeah, absolutely it holds. This is holding this level of order flow because of this break, right? And because of this break right here, this is still the leg here. So this is, when you look at it, hold on. Let me make it bigger. There we go. So my leg goes like this, right? Essentially, well, you could say here to here to here to here, mitigate, and then goes like this. So this is one level of order flow for me. And then because this here has its own reaccumulation continuation move, this cannot be what holds structure from here. right? This is the structure for me in just this order flow leg. So, for me, it's you can have multiple levels of order flow, but this is still what's maintaining this bigger leg. So if we were to break this, what am I doing? I'm looking to buy from here or from here. This is about the 50%. We have accumulation here, so I'd be looking in here. That's why these alerts are still here, because it's still valid for me. Yeah. 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 Hopefully that makes sense. Yeah. There's way more than 3 layers, but that's why when it comes to my, like, how I view everything, that's why I look at everything as structure, understanding the schematics within supply and demand, and then what they did for cause and effect. And that's why that's labeled down there at number 457 as order flow. Because that's all that is just order flow. If we break here, does that mean that dollar index is bearish? Heck no, it's not bearish, right? I mean, this is essentially still the leg that's unmitigated. So yeah. I mean, across, again, I'm looking for any kind of pullback, or my anticipation is that we just do this for the rest of the week. And I was really hoping that we get some kind of shakeout and then reaccumulate. And then next week I'd be looking for buys to take this higher. But across all the dollar crosses, I mean, that's what I'm looking for. EU, waiting to see, can we get back up? Do we get either some kind of pullback? Do we get something, to give us either something back into here, because of this break, something into here, or do we come back into the extreme of what's maintaining the order flow leg? That's what I'd be looking for. Until we get that, I'm not doing much with it. Would plays like that be full risk? I only play, for me, full risk is only out of structure, not order flow. So yeah, I only play full risk, only gets structure. GU, same thing. GU, I don't know if I hit a stream last week because I might have had volleyball, but the only real play that I've been into with GU, obviously I'm still holding a tremendous amount of shorts. I'm still holding all of these up in here. I am still holding, what was this? So this was last month. I'm still holding everything I have up here, but this was the only one right in here. This was on the 15th. And I bet you will never guess what day of the week this trade came in. And I guarantee you, if you think about it really hard, it's one of the days of the week that I wake up early. But this was the only trade that I was able to take, was right here. And it was a redistro that I took a schematic out of during, I think it was about an hour and a half after London Open. It was, yeah, right there. So this was my entry. So I would say that if you've got nothing to do and you're like, man, I don't know where a decent trade was, this was it for me, right in there. It was on the 15th during London session. And I mean, just to give you an idea where this thing went to. So I took profits. I still have small orders left, but I took profits at 1.05, and that was 1,000 pips at a 1 to 796 and a 1 to 400 for a little over 1,000 pips. It went all the way down. I think it went down all the way to like 1.035. Hold on. Yeah. Yeah, she went down all the way down to 1.36. So I took profits at 1.05, just at the nice whole number, but there was a lot of really good price action that happened in here. And it was just plain continuation move. Really, that's all it was. Yeah. So, again, like everything else, I'm just waiting for pullbacks or for continuation moves. I'm not playing anything in here. This is just noise. That's all that is. So across all of them, AU, same thing. I'm just waiting for pullbacks, or I'm waiting for a clearly defined redistribution. I'm not going to play. I'm not playing this stuff down going like this. I need market cycle. So, unfortunately, I'm not holding any AU shorts. I'm actually not even holding NU shorts. But I'm looking for the same thing on US dollar Swiss franc. Where are we? We've reaccumulated, right? So I'm looking for price to come either back into here or coming back into that accumulation down there if we can get it, you know. So hopefully next week maybe we get something like that, but there's really not much for me. I'm not trying to short this. And if we get, maybe if we get something like this in a continuation play, I'll play the continuation move. But outside of that, that's really the only thing I'm doing. And same thing with like UCAT, my condolences to all those people I saw try to short UCAD. No clue what you guys were, what they were seeing, but I've been just holding my buys. I'm still holding buys from in there from June. I'm still holding buys from August. And I want to say, so I'm not in any fresh. I'm not in any fresh plays. I know I do recall a bunch of people catching this reaccumulation here, which was a really clean play. I did not get into that. That was again on the 15th. And I honestly, I think the only reason I didn't get that was because I was focused on indices at the same time. Because it came in at the heart of New York. But yeah, I mean, you look at what UCAD's doing, it's just reaccumulation after reaccumulation, you know. So I was really hoping that we can come back after this, coming back into here. That's still something that I'm looking for. If not, I mean, nothing in here. This is end of fiscal year. This is just algorithms kind of just doing their thing, going side by side, not really putting a lot of time or money into this. Hold on, give me 1 second. Okay, sorry. What are my thoughts on GJ? I mean, it's a yen cross, so it's got a long ways for me to do anything. You know, did anybody did anybody? I didn't even know when this hit. When the heck did that hit? Hold on. When the heck did that hit? Let me see. I'm personally not doing much with GJ. I could care less about GJ. The whole reason I could care less about GJ. Yeah, she came into actually, I take it back. She came in, this wasn't even part of it. She came into the extreme of this. She came into the extreme of that. Oh man, I wonder what that was. Let's see. With GJ, I'd rather trade AJ, NJ, and UJ as opposed to GJ, because for me, what's going to give me the better probability? Well, I know that the pound is extremely weak, and I know the yen is extremely weak. So I've got, just like EJ, I'm not really focused on EJ either. I'd rather just trade UJ, you know. So this was, oh, this is what she came into. Look at this, man. How much do you want to bet she came into that damn 15-minute candle? How much do you want to bet? This is 80% of the 15-minute. I wonder if I might have to measure the whole thing. We'll see. This is 50%. I guess there's no different. I wonder if that's where she came. Wonder if that's where she came. Son of a gun. That's where she came. Damn, that would have been a good play. I don't even know what the risk to reward. That's the extreme of the leg. Anybody catch that? That's the extreme of the leg, man. What would that have been? That would have been, let's just say you take it off the 50. I'm gonna have to give Thomas some crap about that, bro, because this was his baby. So it was like a 9-pip stop. You'd be, I don't even know what you'd be at right now. 624 pips in profit. It's a 1 to 70 in relatively a couple of days. Yeah, I mean, I'll tell you right now, for me to get involved in this was Bank of Japan news. There's not much for me to play out of it. So realistically, I mean, you're still bullish from here. This is where you're bullish from. So nothing, you could see I was kind of looking to see if I can get some kind of play out of here. Nothing ever presented itself. So, I mean, do I think GJ's still going to be bullish? I do, Yeah, I mean, I still think it's going to be bullish. I'm fairly certain across all the yen crosses, you're going to see bullish across the board on all of these. Well, not that one, but CAD J, UJ, Chef J, AJ, and NJ are really what I'm focused on. On the CAD J side, same thing. I'm just looking at this point, and you could see, we've got a decent accumulation happening. I just boxed it out, so at this point I'm waiting to see, do we create something here, maybe a spring break and go higher, or you could see I just boxed it out. So depending on how the week ends, I'll be looking for continuation plays to take it higher, or like I said, I mean, if we get that sweep, be looking lower time frame here to see if I can do something like this. So, but on all the yen crosses, yeah, I'm definitely looking for continuation buys. We've gotten the pullbacks, yeah. But that's pretty much everything I'm looking at. I've got to get going. I've got to get some stuff done real quick because we're starting to get a little bit of more rain. So I got to go out there and drain the pool some more because it's starting to overflow. Does anybody have any last minute questions? Like I said, today, I'm really not looking for much this week. It's it is literally the last few days of the fiscal calendar. Just think about, there's not, you can see just in the volume of candles that we're seeing, there's not a lot of liquidity being put into the market, so I'm simply just going to be sitting back and waiting. Next week is NFP. Yeah. So next week, October 1st is Monday. Traders get their new portfolios, and we also have NFP. So we do have a really good opportunity next week to really get into some decent trades. So yeah, awesome. Listen, I will catch everybody later. And, if you're in South Florida or if you're on the West Coast of Florida, stay safe, stay dry, and hopefully everybody makes it out of this storm with relatively no damage. So with that, I will catch everybody later. Thank you.